Hi everyone, this is Dozie Obianyo. This is A to Z Psychology with Obianyo Chidozie. You're welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing the psychology of learning. It's a first year course, but it's not only for first years. It has a lot to do with education and education departments and principles in learning, right? So we are going to be reviewing a lot of things here today. In this course, Psychology 103, that's 103, Psychology of Learning. We are going to be talking about topics like what is learning, conditions necessary for learning. We are going to be talking about theories of learning, the classical conditioning, operant conditioning, the social learning, cognitive theory. Then we have the learned helplessness by Solomon Seligman. That's another theory of learning. We're going to be talking about forgetting, theories of forgetting, like interference theory, trace decay theory, retrieval failure theory. We'll review that. We'll talk about measurement of learning. We'll talk about many types of ways we measure learning. And again, we are going to be discussing things like latent learning. Okay, we'll talk about brain substrates of learning. That is the parts of the brain responsible for memory and learning, right? We'll talk about processes, memory processes. Yeah, that's when we're talking about the stages of learning, like encoding, storage, retrieval. And we're going to also talk about structures of memory or structures of learning, or yes, like that, types of memory. We're talking about short time, long time. First, we talk about sensory memory, the short time memory, and the long time memory. We're going to be discussing all of those things and many others I may not remember, but we are going to take care of them in these videos. So please stay tuned, and you will want to visit the playlists we have for majorly first years and then other years, and we have every course, and we are having that responsibility and passion to bring to your doorstep everything you need to have an excellent result in psychology or any related persons, maybe as an elective course. So this, you will want to do well to subscribe, like, and share to your friends. And please, we are open to your questions, and please remember to ask your questions when you have it at the comment box. We'll be glad to hear from you, how you feel about the learning and everything and the whole lessons we bring to you. So in this video, I want to start immediately. Since I've given an overview of what we're going to be expecting, I want to talk about what is learning, and then the say conditions of learning, right? So we have what is learning. So what is learning? Learning simply means when we say learning, acquiring a behavior, acquiring a knowledge, acquiring a new behavior, acquiring a new information, or assimilating a new whatever, right? Yeah, this is just simple if you put it that way. But we know that formally, right, we define learning as a relative permanent change in behavior. This is not enough though. You can't stop here. A relative permanent change in behavior as a reason of practice or experience, but not attributed to maturity or illness. This is very important to understand to that level, right? So I just told you, let me use a word, if you just got any information today, okay, I don't know, okay, if you just learn a new thing, like what is learning today, your behavior permanently have changed, your understanding to something has changed, you have gotten a new thing, it has improved, not necessarily change. When I mean change, I mean improvement, right? Not trying to substitute something for another. We call assimilation and accommodation. I mean, yeah, accommodation, right? But in learning as a relative permanent change, right? Relatively, seconds before, you do not know what is learning. Seconds before, your version of self do not know the conditions necessary for a learning to take place. But we are going to review, or your version a few minutes before, or from, okay, as I'm still trying to introduce this course, right? You have not got to know, you might know the conditions necessary for learning, but you might not, it may not be the same as the one I'm going to provide, right? So if I bring the information, these are the conditions, and you assimilate that, you have become relatively, or your behavior relatively to your previous self the few minutes ago has changed. So that's why you say it's a relative permanent change in behavior. Now, permanent change, while we still made a specification, or trying to take it to the next level to tell you that this relative permanent change in behavior we are talking about is the one attributed to practice or experience. You learn something. A child puts hand in a hot pot and got to know, oh boy, this is hot. Ain't gonna go there no more, right? So the child will not try to get near to that pot. Why? Relatively, his behavior has changed permanently. He has come to understand this is what happens when you try this, and the behavior will change, and he won't go. So that experience is important. That practice, your last experience with your secondary schools, then via coming to university, they will inform you, they will help you, those experiences, right? Now, relative permanent change, only the ones gotten through practice or experience. We understand that maturity is also a relative permanent change in behavior, because at this point, as a boy, a male, your voice has changed permanently. As a girl, some of your physiques is also changing, just as that of the boys, right? And as you are growing, your head is getting bigger. It's not going to get smaller later. Permanently, it is changing. So we are not attributing learning, that relative permanent change, as a reason of learning, to that brought about by maturity. No, that's not what we're talking about, right? So again, illness. There are kind of illness that are relatively permanent, right? Permanent change. If okay, and we know that some persons with disability, okay, a blind person, okay, a person with visual impairment that is irreversible medically, right? We say that is okay, that is a relative permanent change in behavior, right? Yeah. Then a person with mobility, like physical disability, on a wheelchair, one of the legs is no more, right? Relatively, the behavior will change. The everything about the person's movement, right? So you see, that is a relative permanent change in behavior as a result of illness, diabetes, and all of those things. These are things we can say they are relative permanent change in behavior, but they are not that as we call learning. So, long story cut short, you want to define learning, you want to tell us that learning has to do with a relative permanent change in behavior as a reason of practice or experience, and not attributed to maturity or illness. So when a girl breaks your heart, or when a boy breaks your heart, and you start, I don't think I have to give this approach next time. This is learning. I don't think I may have to go this route next time because of the bad road, right? The hold up. These are learning, right? Experience, practice. So, what are the conditions necessary? So if you see what we talked about, you see that we highlighted the characteristics of learning, the things that must be, the features. Learning is relatively permanent. and it's through experience and practice and not to maturity or illness. So moving forward, we're talking about conditions necessary for learning. I will highlight 3: readiness, activity of interest, and motivation. These are the 3 conditions that must be present for any kind of learning to take place. Yes, you will be ready. And when we talk about ready, we're talking about psychologically or say emotionally and physically ready. That's why you will not bother a child of 10 years with quadratic equation, if I may use that. You can bother them with simple algebra, right? But you're not going to bother child of 8 years or 10 years with calculus, further maths, right? You give them that which they are ready for, biologically ready, right? You don't also expose some persons of underage to some information or to some activities they are not also ready, right? All of these things are broken down and are brought to their level, until they get to another level of life and development. Another information comes. So you see the interrelatedness of maturity and learning, right? You need the right environment for a learning to take place. So I'm saying readiness, emotionally ready. You will understand that when somebody is stressed or bothered about something, emotionally down, he or she may not be willing to learn, right? That is one of the things that can affect learning. If the person is not mentally ready or emotionally ready or psychologically ready or biologically, physically, right? So biologically, like I said, the person must be developed to the level of learning the person will be given, right? That's why from primary school you hear words like a noun is a name of person, animal, place, or thing, and they will stop there, right? So, but when you enter secondary school or college, you'll be seeing, okay, a noun is a name of person, animal, place, or thing, or ideas, right? They are bringing in idea as part of this is how learning grows. So that is that readiness. Anyhow you want to understand that word readiness, you are right. Okay, so the second one is activity of interest. It is something you will have passion for. It is something you are wanting to do. It is something you will be loving to do. That will help learning. That is a condition that must be met. You don't force it. If you force it, it's not going to be a good one. It may not. The learning may not take place healthily or adequately. Yes. So you find out that that's why you see persons trying to choose the subject or course they love and they think they are good in, or the one that will take them to the passion or the profession they have passion for, right? Then the third one is motivation. You may have to have a reason for entering into that learning process setting. There must be a motivation. Perhaps you want to improve your knowledge. Perhaps you want to pass your exams. Perhaps you want to have a better job tomorrow, to be able to secure a job tomorrow. There are reasons. There are, when we talk about motivation, I wouldn't bother you guys with that. That is third year course. Motivation has to do with reasons why we do what we do, right? So if I stand up here and I say, excuse me, where am I going? I want to take a cup of water, right? That the reason for that behavior is that perhaps I was thirsty, right? So why do you want to learn that? When there are motivations behind any learning to take place, it is a very good condition that will enhance that learning and that will determine the outcome of that learning to a great extent. So this is first class and first video for Psychology 103, the Psychology of Learning. I will be expecting to see you guys in other videos. Thank you.